It's really great. There are some brand new arrival dates that have been confirmed starting this week. Fourth stimulus checks will be deposited, and you can receive these new inflation relief checks in just a few days. Several states and cities have agreed to send out extra financial aid to the residents, and Massachusetts is one of them. You can get a $500 payment, and Oregon has also agreed to send out $600. Over 300,000 low-income essential workers across Massachusetts are beginning to receive their second round of checks. The $500 payments were scheduled to be mailed out as part of the Baker administration's Crisis Essential Employee Premium Program. The first set of these payments were announced in February and distributed to around 480,000 people, and this round offers another $165 million in refunds to relieve the refunding to an estimated 330,000 eligible residents. And eligibility is all based on 2021 Massachusetts tax returns. To qualify, workers have had to make at least $13,000 and seen their total income at or below 300% of the federal poverty level. But those who received a payment in the first round or who received unemployment benefits in 2021 are just not eligible. Nearly 250,000 low-income Oregon households will begin to receive one-time payments of $600 from the state of Oregon as early as this week. More than 236,000 households, everybody, are set to receive this check, so hopefully you guys can expect to receive it too and get your stimulus money as well. The qualifying member of the household must have received their Oregon Earned Income Tax Credit on the 2020 tax filing and lived in Oregon for at least the later half of 2020. These $600 is not subject to the state or federal income tax, and also the total amount of one-time assistance will be around $141 million. The bill passed the state's House and Senate with bipartisan support, and it's all introduced as means of supporting the low-income Oregon residents who did help the state continue to function during the first years of the crisis by working. So folks, the Rhode Island people in the state will get a one-time check of $250 per child. That's thanks to the budget surplus. Households can receive a payment of up to 3 dependent children for a maximum of $750, and those children must have been listed as your dependents on your 2021 federal and state income tax returns. So taxpayers must earn at least $100,000 or less to be eligible for the payment. These child tax rebate checks will be issued starting in October 2022, and taxpayers filing their 2021 state tax returns by October 22nd will receive the rebates in December. And also, Hawaii taxpayers will soon be receiving their tax refunds as well. However, the Hawaii Governor David Ige said that as of now, approximately 294 million people and $294 million are being released to taxpayers. The money is just going to go into the people's banks that's already on your tax returns. Those taxpayers should receive it via direct deposit by this month, and those who filed their tax returns by July 1st and also include a direct deposit account number will be getting refunds faster, sooner than later for the people that didn't, well, compared to the people that didn't. And only those who filed an income individual tax return will be automatically getting checks processed. Those who didn't do this will still do so by December 31st, at least to qualify. Under this plan, a family of 4 can get around $1,200 in tax refunds. Taxpayers earning less than $100,000 a year, or couples earning less than $200,000, will receive $300 per person. A total of 535,000 taxpayers will get $300 per dependent refund. Ige said that distributing these checks is going to help so many people, and this is top priority in office. So folks, I definitely believe that President Biden can do more for American people, send out stimulus checks, and help out others sooner than later, because that's what the president's supposed to do.
Hear from the president about the progress we have made together. A president who chose CBC members and staff to serve at every level of our government, including our outstanding Secretary of the Housing and Urban Development Agency, Madam Secretary Marcia Fudge. And together with this caucus, we place equality, equity, and justice at the center of our work. And I will highlight just 2 of the many examples that demonstrates why that matters. With the CBC, we invested an historic $5.8 billion, that's B with a B, billion dollars, in our HBCUs. Knowing that our HBCUs are some of our best institutions of academic excellence. And speaking of history, many of us were together yesterday morning for the investiture of the first Black woman to serve on the United States Supreme Court, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. And this, all of it, was made possible because we elevated our power and advanced our purpose. But we still have so much more to do. And we need the leadership of this organization now more than ever. Leadership that has the proven ability to see America as it can be, unburdened by what has been. Leadership that is grounded and has always been in fundamental rights, including the importance of justice for all people. Leadership that represents not just the Congress, not just the conscience of the Congress, but the conscience of our country. We gather in unsettled times. I have seen that as I have traveled across this nation and around the world as your vice president. And you have seen it too. Ideals and freedoms that we thought were long established and are now under threat. Overseas, it includes the threat to the sovereignty of independent nations. And at home,
the future is diverse. The future is blessed by so many children. I met today a little 13-year-old girl who was, and then high school student who was going on to college. The hope that they have, the confidence that they were given by the mission neighborhood centers is not only good for them, not only good for our community.
President Biden has announced his new plan that would help millions of people, especially senior citizens, that are facing financial difficulties right now. Democrats and Republicans have worked together to propose a new bill that would increase SSI benefits for many. President Biden's newly announced plan to address the housing affordability crisis has given millions of people a reason to celebrate. President Biden's plan will help slow the nationwide increase in rent. The plan will also increase the supply of affordable housing, which will help more low-income families stay in their homes. In addition, the Biden administration wants to make housing more accessible for those currently experiencing homelessness and provide substantial savings to taxpayers. Biden's goal is to tackle inflation, and increasing housing stock is the perfect place to start. Across the country, there's an estimated housing supply deficit of 3.8 million homes, which has severe economic consequences, including driving inflation and exacerbating the homelessness crisis. Homelessness creates massive social, and economic costs for American cities and families. President Biden's action to reduce housing costs by investing in the development of affordable housing will enable more cities to continue moving unhoused individuals directly into permanent housing. Biden's proposed investment in housing would start to undo the devastating impacts of past short-sighted and fiscally irresponsible investments in housing programs, restoring programs that once prevented Americans from falling into homelessness. Unfortunately, according to Fox, more senior citizens are living on the streets. Homeless agencies across the country say it's an alarming new trend because of rising rents and inflation. A study led by the University of Pennsylvania estimated the number of elderly people experiencing homelessness will nearly triple by 2030, reaching over 100,000. Older people who are homeless also tend to have smaller Social Security checks. That is why many economists and lawmakers are pushing for legislation that would increase the monthly benefit checks that many seniors receive. The average monthly Social Security retirement payment as of December was around $1,700. So hopefully President Biden can do something about this. The SSI program provides disabled people with limited income with financial help, but its strict asset limits have not been updated since 1989. Senator Brown has said during an interview with CNBC News, it doesn't make sense for SSI rules to punish Americans for saving for emergencies. Our bipartisan bill would update the outdated rules for the first time in decades and allow beneficiaries to save for emergencies without putting the benefits they rely on to live at risk.
Plan to match your vision. We were able to get, whether we did $2 million for next year's funding bill to renovate the child care center in the Mission and in the Bayview. Thank you for investing. To touch the lives of even more families in a brighter way. Let me just say this, because we've talked about the mayor's office, the governor's office, President Biden. Everybody recognizes that where the policy meets the people, where it hits the road, is where we need to put our support. And that's why last year the House passed legislation with 228,000 affordable housing units in California. Much of that for the governor's office, the mayor's office, the supervisors, and all, to distribute guaranteed preschool for 3 to 4-year-olds, preschool and a good paying job. So again, with the Pass the American Dream and Promise Act, we again recognize the reinvigoration of America. Newcomers are to our country. Some of you have been here many more generations than my Italian American family. Some newcomers, all a part of a brilliant future. I just want to say this to all of you.
Do we turn our backs on struggling workers? Every person in America and around the world would like to live long and happy and productive lives.
One-time stimulus checks are coming your way. President Biden is advocating for more financial assistance, whether it be for those that have college debt, or even the seniors and Social Security beneficiaries. Senate Democrats want to make some big changes to Social Security very, very soon. And here's some new information that is important for those of you that are on Social Security. If Joe Biden's new tax proposal goes through, people who earn more than $400 grand will be subject to the 3.8% Medicare tax. Biden's campaign called for applying Social Security payroll taxes to those making $400,000 and up. This year, wages of up to $142,000 are subject to that tax, which is 6.2% of wages for both workers and employers. That is a significant amount of money that would help out Social Security, because according to new estimates, the trust funds that support Social Security are running dry and may be tapped out in less than 20 years. Biden has already called for the increased levies to help pay for proposed benefits, and including raising the minimum Social Security benefit to at least 125% of the federal poverty level. Other lawmakers have expressed their support for Social Security reform, as millions of people, especially seniors, push Congress to send out $200 a month in a monthly benefit boost to Social Security benefits. Elizabeth Warren, for instance, highlighted what she said is a need for Social Security, or SSI. Well, SSI's original goal was to ensure that no senior person with a disability would have income below poverty level. Warren argued that outdated rules have trapped 4 out of 10 recipients in poverty. According to Senator Warren, SSI is an important lifeline for 8 million low-income seniors and people with disabilities. Its outdated rules squeeze too many struggling families out of the program and trap many recipients in poverty. The average monthly SSI benefit is actually below $600, which will keep many elders in poverty. Therefore, to make ends meet, an SSI recipient might actually have to consider working despite disability, their age, or need to care for children with disability. Now, the most a recipient can earn in income before losing benefits is $65 a month. Additionally, collecting more than $20 a month in Social Security would reduce SSI benefits. SSI beneficiaries are not allowed to have more than $2 grand in savings, including in retirement accounts. Married recipients also receive lower SSI benefits and have additional asset limits. SSI recipients can even be punished for receiving groceries from a friend or housing from family. Senator Warren concluded by calling for the passage of the SSI Restoration Act. In addition to leading this bill, Senator Warren called for an increase to Social Security and disability benefits at the start of the crisis, including unveiling a plan to increase by $200 a month the Social Security, veterans, and SSI beneficiaries. And I agree with Senator Warren on this one. Friends, President Biden also said in Virginia that he was trying to make the case for lowering prescription prices, which will ultimately help ease inflation. The Biden administration has argued that lowering the prescription costs will ease one of the largest financial burdens that many American families, especially seniors, face. Lower prescription prices is a key piece of President Biden's agenda and a climate package which he's negotiating. In addition to allowing Medicare to negotiate the prices of certain costly medications, the Build Back Better would also impose penalties if companies increase their prices faster than inflation. It would also redesign Medicare's Part D plans so that seniors and people with disabilities will not pay more than $2 grand for medication. Biden also highlighted the bill would cap what Americans pay for insulin at about $35 a month. So although the prescription measures would save around $297 billion, including $79 billion from allowing Medicare to negotiate prices, a coalition of more than